The Housing and Urban Development Zoning Committee for November the 30th will be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderman Cone,
Present.
Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Narayan,
Here.
Alderwoman Evans, Chairman Boyd.
Present.
5 present, you have quorum.
Okay, no minutes. The first board bill before us is Board Bill 134, sponsored by myself. I am going to punt to Zach over at SLDC and take it away, Zach.
Thank you, Alderman Boyd. We have Tom Ray from the Comptroller's Office. He usually does this one, so I'll let Tom speak on it.
Okay, Tom, you're up. And again, Tom, just remind everybody who you are, what you do.
My name is Tom Ray. I'm an attorney with the firm of Armstrong Teasdale. I represent the Comptroller's Office, and I drafted this particular board bill, which repeals 4 ordinances that created 3 special allocation funds for the Delmar East Loop, the Barton Street Lofts, and the Chouteau Compton redevelopment areas. The specifics of each one are set forth in the preamble, if you'd like me to go through those, but the value is that once we repeal these special allocation funds, the taxes will not be collected anymore and will be passed through to the taxing jurisdictions.
And so basically what you're saying is they're paid off and the city will start getting 100%?
That's correct. 2 of them are paid off. One, the time is going to expire on December 17th. There's one more payment to be made, and that's a Chouteau Compton notes that are bonds now.
Okay. So this is basically a good deal for the city, right?
Very good deal, yes.
All right. Seems like a pretty simple bill. I'll go around and ask if there are any committee members who have any questions. Alderwoman Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions, just a brief comment. As I was reviewing this list, I noticed that based on all of the economic development that has been derived in the last 10 years or 20 years, very few of them actually received TIF incentives. And those all, half of them were in deprived areas, which have given those communities a great uplift, like the MLK Plaza and a few others. So I just wanted to share that with the public. As the comments have been shared over the last 4 or 5 years, the city is being raped by TIFs. Well, we can see how few of them there are. Thank you.
All righty. Alderman Cone.
No questions.
Okay. Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
I don't have questions. I just wanted to thank Zach for sending the information. Next time, could you make it bigger? Because I couldn't see that little writing. But thank you, Zach.
Okay. Alderman Muhammad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions.
Alderwoman Martin. Okay. Alderman Narayan, I know you got some good questions.
No questions today on this one. This
No
looks like a good deal. Thanks.
Okay. Alderwoman Evans. Okay. Alderman Chouteau. How did I miss Alderman Chouteau?
Oh, that's all right. I was late to the party. Sorry, Chairman. No questions.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 134.
I move that we adopt Board Bill 134 with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderman Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans, Chairman Boyd,
Aye.
7 aye votes.
By your vote, Board Bill 134 comes out of committee with due pass recommendation. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next board bill before us, Board Bill 137, sponsored by myself, and we'll have SLDC Zach make a presentation on Board Bill 137.
Thank you, Alderman Boyd. This is a standard housekeeping issue we do every year. State statute section 99.865, the TIF statute, requires the city hold a public hearing 5 years after approval of each TIF plan, and every 5 years thereafter determine if the project's making satisfactory progress. As required by the statute, a notice of this November 30th meeting was placed in the daily record. Also, as required by TIF statute, a notice of annual statement regarding all approved TIF projects was published in the daily record on the 22nd and 29th. Attachment A to the Board Bill 137 is the status of all TIFs projects having a 5-year anniversary at 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. Further, the city must prepare for the state an annual report for each TIF project that has not been dissolved. These 147 reports have been prepared by SLDC and the Comptroller's Office and submitted by the November 15th, 2021 deadline. So we just finished those reports to the state. They'll probably be coming out shortly with updated information. The state will. But I will hand this over to Andrew Knopp, who will go through the report, the PowerPoint real quick to go over each TIF that's celebrating their 5, 10, 15-year, and 20-year anniversaries. Several of these, some of these TIF projects are not activated, but we still had to report on them. But we'll go through the PowerPoint, and I guess we'll take questions later after the PowerPoint.
Okay.
All right, do we see the PowerPoint?
We do. If you can enlarge it, it'd be helpful.
Yeah, I'll actually. All right, so I'm Andrew. I don't think I've spoken to any at this group before, so good to meet everybody. I will say that I haven't been here too long, and these TIFs are very old, so I'm definitely not an expert on them, and I'm hoping that if there are questions that I can't answer, somebody here can help answer.
Andrew, can you tell us what you do?
Yeah, so I'm on the incentives team here. I'm an economic development analyst, so I kind of help with modeling projects and doing some other analyses that we do to kind of get answers about economic development and the use of incentives throughout the city.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so this is the notice here that we submitted to the daily record. It just summarizes some key stats. I may not go through each individual one, but it tells you how many plans were established and then how many agreements were actually executed. And then lines 3 through 6 are basically construction status, and then we list the projects that were terminated. For all TIFs, there's been a total pilots collected of 26 million. This is in the year that we're reporting on, and total eats were 13.5 million. Total debt outstanding is 500 million. Total debt paid throughout the year, which is principal and interest of 35 million. Our pay-as-you-go commitments were about 10 million, and the total remaining is 10 million, and then the total pay-as-you-go paid throughout the year was just under 2 million. So we'll go into, the rest of this is just each of the 5-year anniversary projects.
I'd like to just point out lines 8 through 13 are come directly from the comptroller's office, so.
Right, yeah, we rely on them for record keeping for these things, so. All right, so this is TIF and I think it's actually 2021, and it's not the 18th, but, all right, so these are 20-year anniversary projects. Just for record, there were no 25-year anniversary TIF projects, so that's why we don't have that group included on here. 20-year anniversary projects, there were 4 of them. This would mean that they were approved between September 1st, 2001 and August 30th, 2002. Our first is Gravois Plaza, which you can see here on the screen. This was a Kimco Realty Corporation project. They acquired the 13.11 acre site located at 3842 Gravois and demolished the what were the existing buildings, which was formerly a Kmart, Schnucks, and some other smaller shops. And then they constructed a 136,800 square feet of retail anchored by a shop and save store, which was completed in 2002. The overall final development cost was approximately $21 million, and the TIF was approved for $4,049,000. The current anchor tenants are Aldi's, and the TIF is expected to mature in 2025. Thank you. All right, so this is the old post office, one of my personal favorite buildings in the city. Originally completed in 1884, was renovated in 2002 by Desco at the cost of $77 million. Contains the Missouri Court of Appeals, Eastern District, a St. Louis Public Library, and the Attorney General's office, plus a number of not-for-profit agencies. Originally, Webster University's downtown campus was located there, but it relocated to a bigger space across Olive Street in the Arcade Building. Lindenwood University, Missouri Court of Appeals, and a branch of the St. Louis Public Library are among the current tenants. This is a pay-as-you-go TIF in the amount of $6.6 million, and it will expire in 2025. Okay, so this is 4,200 Laclede condominiums. Project was adaptive reuse of this historic building, which is the Lloydies manufacturing building, 18 condos and a parking garage. The TIF amount was $900,000, supporting a $6 million project. It was completed in 2006, and the condo units continue to sell well when placed on the market. TIF notes will expire in 2025. Next, we have Tech Electronics, which was a project consisting of the construction of a 7,000 square foot commercial building at 6437 Manchester for the expansion of the company Tech Electronics at the cost of $4.5 million, supported by a $900,000 TIF. This was completed in 2003 and continues to be occupied by Tech, and the TIF note will expire in 2025. So that's the rest. That's the 20-year anniversary projects. This is 15-year. There are 5 of them. This would be projects approved in between September 2006 and August 2007. So first, we've got City Block 1859, the Walgreens. This was a new 15,000 square foot Walgreens drugstore built on a 1.92 acre site at 1400 North Grand at the cost of $5.1 million. That was supported by a 1.2 million TIF. The project was completed in 2007 and is still in operation. In 2008, a clawback resulted in the TIF notes being reduced to $1.06 million, and they are anticipated to expire in 2030. Next, we've got the Tudor Building at 1818 Washington Avenue. This is a development that included the rehab of buildings on the north side of the 1900 block of the street, the Tudor Building, and a portion of the south side of the 1800 block of Washington for a total cost of $33.9 million. which was supported by a $2.38 million TIF. The Tudor building includes 25,000 square foot of first floor commercial space on Washington Avenue, 30,000 square foot of work-live space, which are 14 units and 50 other apartments. Only the Tudor building was completed in 2008 at the cost of $24.3 million, and the TIF notes issued totaled $1.585 million after a $15,000 clawback. The retail space is occupied by a variety of retail uses, including a salon and healthcare facility. These notes are anticipated to expire in 2029. And it should be noted that this 1818 building was later rehabbed, but not utilizing the TIF. We got GEW Lofts development consisting of the rehab of the George E. Walsh building and 4 adjacent buildings at 2601 through 2643 Washington Avenue, the cost of just over $19 million and supported by a $3.2 million TIF. Originally, the project was to have 29,000 square feet of retail and 60 condos, but by its completion in 2010, the market had changed and it became a rental project. Currently, the retail includes the Latte Lounge and Scratch Restaurant, and these notes are anticipated to expire in 2030. Okay, so next we have the Foundry at 1911 Locust Street, which should not be confused with the much larger and more recent project, City Foundry, St. Louis. This 2006 project consisted of the rehab of 20,000 square feet of a 20,000 square foot 2-story structure at 1911 Pine at the cost of $5 million, supported by a $400,000 TIF. Originally, the project was to include 12 residential condos, but as financing for condos became unavailable, the TIF was amended in 2009 to allow for an all-commercial project, and this project was completed later that year. Marquee Restaurant and Lounge is currently in there, and this note will expire in 2030. Leather Trades Building Lofts, this was a rehab of the Leather Trades Building at 1600 Locust for the cost of $23.1 million, supported by a $2.85 million TIF. The original application called for, again, 59 condos, but the market has changed, and the project was completed by another developer in 2012 with 86 artist loft rental units. These notes are anticipated to expire in 2030. So that's the 15-year projects. Now we're moving on to the 10-year anniversary projects. There are 2 of them. They would have been approved between September 2011 and August 2012. So first we have 1549, 1601 South Jefferson Avenue. This consisted of the renovation of a 1-story, 47,000 square foot commercial building originally constructed in 1984 and a new 7,000 square foot retail building in the Gate District East neighborhood. This project cost $8.7 million and was supported by a $1.7 million TIF. The project was completed in 2014 and is still occupied with retail tenants, including Save-A-Lot. The notes are anticipated to expire in 2035. Next is 2727 Washington Avenue. This project was the rehab of an unoccupied 13,000 square foot warehouse built in 1955, converted into a clinic leased to the Veterans Administration. It was a $1.9 million project and supported by a $450,000 TIF, completed in 2012. And the TIF notes are anticipated to expire in 2035. So last, we've got the 5-year anniversary projects. There are 5 of them. These would have been approved between September 2016 and August 2017. So this is the City Foundry we're probably more familiar with. Much of the 16.7 acre site of this project was once occupied by the Federal Mobile Foundry that closed in 2007. It's located along the south side of Forest Park Avenue between Vanaventer and Spring. So RPA 1, Phase 1 consists of the renovation of the 150,000 square foot foundry into a food hall and other related uses, plus the construction of additional commercial space. Except for Completion of leasing of tenants. RPA 1 is completed. RPA 2 was to be an apartment tower, and RPA 3 and 4 were to be office buildings. The apartment tower is not permitted under historic guidelines, so it has been replaced by a 46,000 square foot Alamo draft house building. Recent revisions to RPA 2 have been approved, and construction is expected late in 2021, which will be a parking garage and 2 apartment towers totaling 280 units on its roof, plus a 59,000 square foot office building to its east. Original cost of all 4 RPAs was $134 million, supported by an $18.1 million TIF. Now RPA 2 alone will total $160 million. Next we have Northgate, or Link in the Loop, which I really love this building. This project included the demolition of a service station and the construction of a $26.9 million three buildings with 50,000 square foot of offices, 7,000 square foot of retail, including the CVS you can see, and this was a $4.374 million TIF. The notes have not yet been issued, although the project was completed in 2020. Next, we have Jefferson Arms, which was a project that consists of the rehab of the Jefferson Arms building at Tucker Boulevard. The proposal includes 200 apartments and a 200-room AC hotel. Total development cost is estimated at $103.7 million, and the TIF was approved for $17.4 million. The project has not yet started. This is 6300 Clayton Avenue, or the Hibernia Apartments. It's a mixed-use project including 100 apartments and 16,000 square foot of ground floor retail. Apartments are occupied, but the retail is yet to be developed. Total development cost was $25.7 million, and the approved TIF was for $3.8 million. The notes have not been issued and may never be issued due to minority and women business enterprise compliance issues. The project was completed in 2019. And then just to wrap this up, we have 3 projects that have been terminated projects that are celebrating a 5-year anniversary are these following 3 projects. First is Lafayette Square. This was a pay-as-you-go TIF approved in 2002 for streetscape improvements in the Lafayette Square neighborhood historic district, including the Park Avenue Plaza and Fountain, the entry gates, street reconfigurations, land acquisition, Lafayette Park improvements, and a community garden at the cost of $8.1 million. In 2011, $6 million in TIF notes were approved to help accelerate the completion of these projects. In 2020, all projects were completed and the TIF was dissolved. This is Dr. Martin Luther King Plaza, which is a 42,000 square foot retail facility anchored by a Save-A-Lot, which was constructed on a 4.23 acre site bounded by Grand, Page, Spring, and Dr. Martin Luther King Drive at the cost of $7 million. The notes were approved for $2.25 million in 2004 and paid and retired in 2021. And last, we have Grand Shenandoah. This is from 2006, a developer proposed the demolition of the YMCA building on the 2-acre site at 2232 South Grand, replacing it with a $7 million 2-story building with first floor retail and offices on the 2nd floor. The Pelican building to the south, which you can see in the picture, would be rehabilitated for commercial uses. The developer was never able to finance the project, and the TIF was dissolved in 2016. Subsequently, another developer acquired the YMCA site, demolished it, and constructed a 5-story apartment building with 124 units at the cost of approximately $25 million. This is what you can see in the picture. The historic Pelican building has also been rehabilitated. Both projects got a 10-year tax abatement instead of a TIF.
Hopefully we still have you online. We didn't put you to sleep.
No,
do
you
have
guys,
any
we're still
questions?
here. Chairman Boyd had to step away, so I'm chairing the meeting. Why don't you go ahead and get through this last section, and then we'll go around for questions.
I think we're just gonna leave a summary table up in case that might be helpful for questions.
Yeah. Oh, the last section is just the three slides that we retired today.
Oh, yeah,
The previous
sorry.
board bill that Tom Ray presented.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. These are for the first bill we did today. Okay,
Correct.
Yeah.
thank you
I
very
can say a
much,
few things about this if you
Andrew.
want, or, yeah, okay.
That was a lot of information. We're going to go through the committee and see who's got questions. And I believe Jerry Connolly is signed up to speak. That's the only one I see. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone else signed up to speak? Okay, not hearing anything. All right, so let's go around for questions. Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you. I don't have any questions.
All right, Alderman Cohn. I don't know that he's with us. Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Muhammad.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I have no questions. Thank you for the presentation, guys.
Alderwoman Martin. All right, Alderman Narayan.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just one question. If someone from SLDC could explain a little bit about what's happening with the Municipal Courts Building RPA 1. I note that construction isn't started there, and I'm just curious about what the effect of having a TIF 5 years in with no construction started is.
The initial developer is still interested in doing the project. We're supposed to have meetings here in the future, but it does kind of handicap them if they're going to use a TIF. It may happen something similar to the Shenandoah Grand site, where a tax abatement might do better in the future than a TIF. So we just might have to address that in the future and see what the numbers look like.
Okay, perfect. But there are still discussions ongoing there then?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, thank you. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Evans.
No questions at this time, Vice Chair.
All right, thanks, Alderwoman. Couple questions from me, and anyone at SLDC is welcome to jump in here. Andrew mentioned on the North Gate TIF that the bonds have never been issued. What's going on with that?
I think that's a question for the comptroller, but I think they will be issued. They just haven't, there are 2 or 3 projects that have recently been completed, and it takes a little bit of time before they actually issue the bond. So I think by this time next year, you'll see the bonds issued on this and a couple of others.
Okay, so no issue, it's just slow, but it's moving appropriately?
Correct.
All right.
Alderman, I can weigh in on that a little bit. We've been going back and forth on whether or not that should be a taxable or tax exempt note. Stern Brothers has been talking about that with the developer for a couple of years now, and I've recently, as of last week, had a conversation with him, and that's a delay.
Got it. Thank you, Tom. And then the other project I'm just looking for sort of a general update on is Jefferson Arms. What's going on there?
We've had several meetings. There is increase in cost of construction. So they're looking for additional funding, so at this point in time.
Okay.
They own the property, and so they're still hoping to pull off the project, but it continues to be delayed at this point.
All right. Thanks, guys. Committee members, real quick, anybody else? Any additional questions and want to weigh in? Speak now. Okay. From the public, I believe Jerry Connolly is the only one that signed up. I'm scrolling around. Is Jerry, looks like he's here. Jerry, you want to weigh in?
Sure.
All right, go ahead. Just tell us who you are, where you live, and then go ahead. You got 3 minutes.
Sure, thank you. My name's Jerry Connolly, 8th Ward resident on 3800 block of Botanical. I'm speaking with no position on this particular bill, but I did want to raise a couple of questions that perhaps SLDC can respond to now, or it'd be nice to see some of this material posted online. Quick FYI on that municipal court project, if it is the same developer as Zach Wilson referenced, I believe that property was owned by the developer and then transferred back to the city. According to the assessor, there is still outstanding taxes from 2019. So should that project be revisited with that developer, I hope that they are called upon to pay those taxes. Similarly, on the second project where the notes have not been issued, I think that was the 6300 Clayton project. And there was reference to the fact that those notes may not be issued because of MWBE issues on that project. I'd appreciate it if someone could elaborate as to what were the problems with that. And that kind of leads into my understanding from the previous SLDC director under Otis Williams. There'd been talk for the last 18 months plus of there being some kind of online portal or dashboard where that's forward facing, that the public could view details on the incentive projects, all the different layers of incentives allocated. And I think that's one of the hurdles we have in, as residents of the city, trying to understand how these are allocated, in that there's so many different layers to particular projects. City Foundry is an example where after their RPA 1 activation for that first redevelopment project area, the developer was able to put together a $50 million opportunity zone fund that apparently is connected to RPA 1. So when the developer went back to the Board of Aldermen and TIF Commission earlier this year, apparently that was just kind of deemed as something completely separate and not applicable. Well, if our public schools are on the hook for 23 years before they see the full return on the investment in terms of the public subsidy, whereas these opportunity zone investors can reap their benefits after 10 years, I really think that those factors should be taken into account on evaluating how much assistance the projects get. So, we're here at this point at the 5-year anniversary of City Foundry's original approval. Could you take a look, could SLDC take a hard look at the future assistance for that project? Let's see what else do we have here. Yeah, and I think on the Jefferson Arms, again, with the developer, I think last year he had to kind of pass the hat, and I think the Carpenters Union came up with a $200 million grant or loan to help the developer pay their taxes. So it just kind of seems we're 5 years later. I really wonder, does this developer, Altera Jefferson Arms, have the capacity to do this project?
All right, Mr. Connolly, you could wrap it up. You got 10 seconds.
Well, I'd appreciate it if SLDC could address some of those items I raised. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before we entertain a motion on these, I will go ahead and ask SLDC if they have any comment on any of Mr. Connolly's questions or comments, or if they have any closing thoughts before we entertain a motion on this board bill.
We update the TIF information every year at the end of the year, so that's posted online. You'll see an updated information on our TIF matrix, so that the public has access to our numbers here. With all MWB issues, the claim project is still ongoing, so I can't really comment on that right at this time, but we have denied projects incentives in the past for MWBE. And that's on municipal courts building. We will address those issues with the developer in the future. We are aware of the back taxes. And that's about it. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them when you email me or call me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zach. All right, one last opportunity. If any of the committee members have any closing thoughts or questions on Board Bill 137. All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and move to adopt Board Bill 137 with a do pass recommendation.
So moved.
All right, move. How about a second, Alderwoman Boyd? I made the
Second.
motion. All right,
Second.
moved by me, Alderman from the 7th, seconded by Alderwoman from the 27th, that we pass Board Bill 137 with a do pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin, Alderman O'Brien,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Chairman Boyd. 7 aye votes.
Okay, thank you. By a vote, we sustain the motion to pass Board Bill 137 with a do pass recommendation. Looking at the remainder of the agenda, we have no resolutions. I don't think we need any committee discussion. We've already discussed the TIF report. Any announcements from any committee members? Hearing none. Okay, we'll excuse the Alderwoman from the 11th for necessary absence. And with that, the HUDZ committee of November 30th, 2021 is adjourned.